In the audience looking not angry, but slightly disappointed.
Sisters Marielle and Cecily.
Diamonds are forever.
Why do the Oscars even matter anymore? Oh my goodness. All right, so we need to chat about why do the Oscars even matter anymore. So the Oscars used to be the biggest night in Hollywood. Now, nobody even cares. Viewership is down. Nobody cares about the movies that win. The speeches are predictable. And most of the movies that actually win, nobody actually cares. I want you to think about it. When was the last time that you watched the Oscars? It's been a minute. And now I want you to think about when's the last time that you watched an Oscar-winning movie? Even longer. You see, in the 90s and early 2000s, movies like Titanic, Gladiator, and The Lord of the Rings won Best Picture and were also massive box office hits. Now, we get Nomad, Coda, and Everything Everywhere all at once. Good films, but how many people outside of the film ecospace actually watch them? I'm just gonna give you 3 main points as to why I feel so passionate about this whole situation. For one, popularity versus prestige. So the Oscars claim to celebrate the best film. But here's the problem. What they actually think is the best versus what the audience actually thinks are 2 separate things here. Let's look at 2023. Top Gun Maverick and Avatar: The Way of the Water were the biggest movies of the year. But Best Picture? Now looking at 2008, The Dark Knight changed cinema forever. But Best Picture? Slumdog Millionaire. When you look at viewership versus the politics behind it, it kind of starts to muddy up the water a little bit, and you start wondering, is it really because they won Best Picture, or is it because the Oscars politics behind that? Let's come into my main number 2. This has to deal with the industry politics versus the actual art of making a film. The Oscars aren't about the best movies, they're about the best campaigns. So studios spend millions lobbying for votes. With private screenings, interviews, and industry parties, the Academy is made of insiders, not everyday people. They vote based on who's due for an award and who played a dramatic role, not which movie was actually the best. And see, that's why Leonardo DiCaprio didn't win Best Actor until The Revenant, even though he came out with really great movies like Wolf of Wall Street and Titanic. And we're coming to my final point, which is the shift in the pop culture. If you look at TikTok creators, YouTube reviewers, Rotten Tomato audiences versus critic scores, it gets a little muddy, but you clearly see where the trend is going here. You see, movies don't need Oscars to be relevant anymore. The whole climate has changed regarding content creation and actually even filmmaking. You see, social media and YouTube have kind of changed the whole landscape of how we communicate about movies. A viral TikTok moment can do more for a film's popularity than an Oscar ever could. You see, audiences trust reviewers, influencers, and word of mouth more than they trust critics these days. I'll give you a good example of this. So we all remember Super Mario Brothers. It got hammered with all the critics, but yet somehow it's like one of the most popular movies out there. Winning an Oscar used to mean box office success. Now it's the other way around, because people don't actually go to theaters anymore as much as they used to. And honestly, it barely moves the needle these days. See, the big question here is do the Oscars still have value? Now, does this mean that the Oscars are completely useless? Not necessarily. They still bring attention to smaller films that might not get the attention that they normally would. And they do celebrate the craftsmanship of filmmaking, which is really important, even if the winners don't always match the public opinion. And yes, I know, there's still some prestige in winning. However, does it actually still matter outside of Hollywood? Here's the truth. Some of the greatest movies out there have never won an Oscar. And guess what? People still love them. The Oscars don't decide what movies matter. We do. If you enjoyed this little rant that I have, comment and like below. Also, I'd love to know what movie you think should have won an Oscar this year or just an Oscar in general. Let's chat online. I'll see you on the next one.